Hey, welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about faith, fitness, lifestyle, and everything in between. If you're interested, stay tuned. I want to talk about faith. Hebrews chapter 11 verses 1. So King James reads, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." And then NIV is, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Very similar, just a slight wording change. I want to dive into NIV, the confidence. That one really stood out to me. When I was reading, I was like, NIV hits the nail. All of them do, of course. But faith is the confidence in what we hope for. We're confident, even if we don't see it. Even when things are not looking like the thing that God has promised or what God has said or what we want and hope for. But we're assured because God never lies to us. God has never promised something and never kept to his word. God has never, ever lied to us. When he says something, it always happens. God's promise never wavers at all. This is crazy. It can be crazy to most people. You're walking around with confidence and you may not even have a job. You walk around with confidence and maybe you're hoping and longing for children. We don't have any children at all. But you're constantly saying, oh, when I have children, and people are like, you're literally 45 and you're still talking about having children. But you have faith because you know in the spirit that God has already told you you're going to have a child. And even though the years are going, even though you're getting older and maybe there's complications with all these things that happens with women's biological clock, but you know that God is faithful. You have the confidence that regardless of what it looks like in the physical, you know in the spiritual, it has already happened. And to a lot of people, like I said, you look like a mad person. People think you're delusional, you have no sense, you are crazy. God's things, most of God's things, if not all, does not make sense in the physical. It doesn't make sense to normal people. How are you telling me I'm 40 something, I've had so many complications, but you're still telling me that you're going to get pregnant when the doctors keep telling you it's looking very slim, or you're job hunting and you don't have a lot of qualifications, or you failed GCSEs, but you know God has told you that you're going to get a very good job, high paying salary, you're going to be comfortable. God can surpass no qualifications. God can surpass you failing your GCSEs. There is favor over you and you know that God has promised you a job. There are so many things I can attach this to because we can be so fixated and wanted to see the evidence. But the whole point of faith is not having the evidence, but you know, like it says here, you have assurance. Even though you don't see it, you're assured because you know the God that you serve. People that waver when they're like, oh, I don't believe in God, or when they say all these things, it's because they don't actually understand or know the God that they serve. If God has promised you something, and a big if God has promised you something, God will never lie to you. That thing will happen. This is something that you have to constantly meditate on. It's not something you can read one day and then tomorrow you forget, because there'll be days where your faith will get tested. My faith has definitely gotten tested so many times. And God has kept trying to highlight this verse to me for a long time. I'm like, oh yeah, I just skim it. I'm like, yeah, I'm all confident now, good. But then the next day, faith depletes again because I'm not meditating on the verse. And now that I've been constantly reading to the point where I've memorized it now, and it's like, it just brings me so much peace knowing that even though I don't see it, I am confident because I'm hopeful. Being hopeful is so beneficial. Not fake confidence, not just saying, oh yeah, I'm hopeful, and you're just throwing out there just so it can happen. No, genuine hope, genuine confidence in the God that you serve, because you know that whatever it is that God has for you, you will have it. I hope this is something that encourages you to also meditate on. There are so many verses about faith, but this one in particular tells us what faith is, even though there's no evidence of the thing. There's something like, I can be crazy. I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to even talk to my sister in particular about a certain situation. I'm like, I'm going to do this. She's like, but right now you're not. I explained to her this verse and she was like, okay, now I get what you're saying. I'm not looking at the now, I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at the promise face to face right now. Can I see it in the physical? No, but in the spiritual, I can feel it, I can see it. And that is something that takes time to build. This has taken me years to build this kind of faith. And do I waver? Absolutely. There are days where I'm like, God, when is it going to happen? What's going on? But when you understand the character of God, which I can get into another video, understanding the character of God is so crucial. The camera just dropped. Understanding the character of God is so crucial. Because if you don't understand the character of God, you will easily slip, you will easily lose focus, you will easily waver. God is faithful, He's graceful, He's merciful, He's a loving Father. So many other things attached to Him, but the main one that I refer to is my Father. And a loving Father will never ever look down on you. Your loving Father will take care of you, He'll always pick you up, He'll never ever hold your wrongs. That is the type of Father that God is, and more. God is a perfect Father, a Father that never ever leaves His children. And we need to really remember that, because sometimes we can attach God to being this big, bad, scary God that if you do something, He's going to turn His back on you and hate you. No, God is not like that at all. And you have to keep reminding yourself of that God is just so loving and so warm, and so He embraces us in His arms. And I just pray that whatever it is that you're trusting God for, that God has told you about and that you can't see in the physical, know that is already happened in the spiritual. Remember, God doesn't work in time. God is timeless. Just because it hasn't happened in the physical, it doesn't mean that it hasn't already happened in the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, things have already been set in place. God knows exactly when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, who's going to be there, where you're going to be, all sorts. And just trust in God's timing and God's will. And make sure that you're praying constantly about the promises He has for you. That is actually a promise that God has for you, because some things that we think God has promised us, but He actually hasn't promised us. And then when it doesn't happen, we're saying, why, God, you promised this? Really going to God, getting confirmations from God, asking, did you really promise these things to me? Because we don't want to get hurt by something that we thought all along that was a promise when it wasn't to begin with. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this blessed you, if this encouraged you, and if you feel like there's someone else out there that will benefit from this, please share to them. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.